Hello world, one night laying in my bed, I had a stupid idea. In the game Helldivers 2, what is the worst possible loadout you could make? And using said loadout, how many difficulties could you beat with only one attempt at each one? First off, what I'm defining as a loadout is the primary, secondary, and support weapon, as well as which throwable, armor, and backpack item you bring in. This means I will have access to 2 additional stratagems and a booster, which I am allowing whatever I want to try to make this challenge possible. With that being said, let's get on to the loadout. For the primary, if you play the game, no surprise here, we're using the Constitution. This ceremonial rifle, even in the lore of the game, is meant to be a gift to just encourage service, not to be used on the battleground. Lore aside, this weapon is the worst as it does weak damage, has a tiny capacity of only 5 rounds, which must be reloaded one at a time, and the slowest fire rate of any bullet weapon in the game. Also, the gun's iron sights, which make it ineffective at long range and can't be swapped out with the new customized feature added to the game. The only pro this gun had is the bayonet fix at the end of the gun, which makes it an okay melee weapon. However, notice I said had, as recently in the new Masters of Ceremony Warbond, they added another rifle with a bayonet. Speaking of this war, this is where the idea for this video came from, as many items will be from here. The saber from this warbond will be a secondary. The saber isn't bad with the right build, but we don't have the right build today. The only benefit the saber brings to the loadout is it's one-handed, as we already have a melee option with the bayonet. I know I could have used a stim pistol here as it's useless on a solo mission, but this is the worst loadout, not the most useless one. For a support weapon, we'll be using the one true flag. Now, no hate on the beautiful symbol of democracy, as it is a useful spear weapon, but we already have 2 melee options, so the only upside this brings to this kit is its useful range it offers over the saber and bayonet. Our throwable will be the smoke bomb. This is bad as first off, I have no idea how to effectively use smoke in this game, and secondly, this cannot blow up any objectives as it does no damage. This means our loadout has no reliable explosive to its name, and we're unable to counter any spawners that the game throws our way. For the armor, I'll be running the new armor with the reinforced epaulets passive, which gives each limb a 50% chance not to break when it would have. Now this might not be the worst in the game, but I wanted to look the part with the rest of the ceremonial gear that we have. Hello, post-editing Panda Man here. I realized after doing this challenge that there definitely was a worse option for the armor passive, this being the integrated explosive passive, as it just makes your armor explode after death, which doesn't, do a whole lot since it only activates upon death, even though it was recently buffed to also include 2 extra throwables. 2 extra spokes bombs really wouldn't have helped that much during this challenge. Also, the reinforced epaulets were actually recently buffed, and they are by far not the worst armor passive in the game anymore. They probably are like one of the best now, being as they also give a increase to reload speed and melee damage, which definitely would have helped, considering I have 3 melees. Anyways, that's all I want to say. Back to the loadout. Finally, the backpack slot. I went with the directional shield. I went with this as it provides no additional DPS, as with the guard dogs, no mobility to get out of situations as with jetpacks. Hellbomb could be useful to clear out an area, and supply pack could be useful for more stims to heal with. This just leaves the shields, both which can only be held in front with a one-handed weapon, so in our case the flag and saber. However, directional shield is worse as ballistic can still block attacks while it's on your back, and direction shield has to be held and requires you to aim in also to block anything, which once you've aimed in with a spear or the saber, your movement speed is significantly reduced. Now for the actual challenge. I chose the Illuminate, no real reason as it was just a major order at the time. For which mission I chose for the Illuminates, I chose to do the Retrieve Craps Intel, as we won't need to defend an area for a long time compared to the other options. This mission has 3 parts: grabbing the black box from destroyed craft, running with it to the upload station, and then uploading the data. To upload the data, I have to first activate the terminal, then complete a series of 6 random inputs to raise the satellite tower, which takes a minute to do. After, we have to manually realign the tower to the correct position before starting the upload. But after starting the upload, that's it. We can leave the area and start running to extract while the data is uploading. It doesn't require us to defend or even be nearby to continue the upload. So with the mission objective out of the way, how did it go? Well, for difficulties trivial, easy, and medium, which has been playing in the background as I've been explaining all this, was simple to complete and extract with only some difficulty coming from being unaware of just how bad the loadout is. This can be seen when fighting both the flesh blobs and overseers, as both take multiple rounds to kill for our primary, and melee isn't a good option for either of them. It's only good for the weak voteless, as grounded overseers do a lot more melee damage and outrange even our flag. And the flesh blobs are way too tanky to take on face to face. But moving on to the challenging, hard, and extreme difficulties. First off, I swapped to light armor from the medium, as medium wasn't providing enough extra health to be that useful. And light would make running with the black box easier and allow me to better escape from the overseers. Also, with these difficulties, making effective use of both the 2 free stratagem slots and the booster slot was very important compared to the first 3 difficulties. The choice of which booster was an easy choice, Hell Pod Space Optimization. This makes it so whenever you drop in, you have maximum ammo grenades and most importantly, stims. As mentioned before, you can be used to heal, but also you can use them to help recover stamina, which is needed to do high damaging melee swings and also for sprint. The 2 stratagems I ran for these 3 difficulties were Tesla Tower and Cluster Bomb. Tesla Tower works great as a good distraction and can kill a lot of grounded enemies, where Cluster Bomb is great for clearing enemies off both objectives as well as being used against other grouped up enemies. The challenging difficulty was close, but thanks to an easy realignment, I was able to make it out with 1 reinforcement remaining. Hard took a while to find the black box, and I had misplaced a Tesla Tower, which made it hard to interact with the terminal to complete the objective. But even with this, I was still making it out with 4 reinforcements remaining. Dream had the first encounter with the Harvester, a large tripod equipped with a shield. Normally you would use something with a high fire rate to take out the shield and hit it hard with a stratagem before it recharges, but although the cluster bomb can drop the shield, my primary weapon doesn't have the firepower to take it out. These guys can also easily break my Tesla towers with their long range beam attacks. Thankfully I got lucky this run and didn't need to realign this time, but the harvesters should definitely be a problem later in the run. After Scream comes the final set of difficulties: Suicide Mission, Possible, Hell Dive, and Super Hell Dive. If the challenge was going to end somewhere, it was going to be here. The Suicide Mission almost ended before I even started, as before I even started to raise the tower, I was down to just a single reinforcement. But thankfully I had cleared all the enemies and was able to upload the data. However, when trying to extract from the mission, I died, with no extra reinforcements left, meaning I could not respawn. But that says mission complete, and I still get awarded planet liberation. So just as the game defines extraction from a mission, it's completely optional and not required for a win. For Impossible, I first off got a hat to match my outfit, but more importantly, switched up my stratagems. I still bought Cluster Bomb, but I swapped out Tesla Tower for Orbital Laser. Tesla Tower was dying too fast to be useful, and Orbital Laser would give me a nice panic button to take out harvesters and other tanky enemies. However, I could only bring 3 during a mission, and it has a long cooldown in between uses. Also, with this difficulty, the final and hardest enemy had shown itself, the Stingray. Although it isn't as bulky as the others, it flies fast and does multiple strafing runs until it is either taken out or decides to leave. With this run, I also got lucky again and didn't need to realign the tower, and was able to survive until the data was uploaded, but not until extraction made it. Hell Dive, the second and last difficulty, I honestly didn't expect to even make it this far, and haven't actually ever done a solo Hell Dive mission before this. For this higher difficulty, I decided to swap Cluster Bomb for Napalm Barrage in order to have more firepower to clear objectives, but this does come at the cost for the higher cooldown. I didn't start out great this run, as while trying to be sneaky I got stuck and couldn't move, but after this everything went actually pretty well. Napalm Barrage definitely helped, as it took out all the enemies and all I had to do was dodged the Stingray's attacks, and simply uploaded data. I even got lucky again and didn't have to realign the tower. Unfortunately, just like the other 3 difficulties before, I wasn't able to extract. Super Helldive, the final difficulty. For this, I made no changes to the loadout from Helldive. I first used a napalm barrage to get the black box and was able to deposit it after using all my stims. Now for some reason, a car had spawned at the objective, and I had an idea to drive away and wait for my napalm to recharge. This would have worked if I didn't crash it right away. This did, however, cause most of the enemies to chase me away from the objective, and the one remaining I was able to take out with a laser. After almost getting stuck again, I unfortunately had to realign the tower this time. And even worse, it had to do a complete 180, the longest possible distance. And even worse, more enemies were on the way. But I was just able to finish turning it before getting taken out. And since I had more than enough reinforcements remaining, I was able to respawn back in, walk up to the terminal, upload the data, and finish the mission, which also marks the end of this challenge. Well, that went a lot better than expected. I knew I could get through the first 3 difficulties, no problem. Same with the 3 intermediate difficulties, as long as I didn't let the enemy reinforcements get out of hand. However, I thought it was going to be over in Suicide Mission Impossible. And if you count extraction as part of the mission, it did. Helldive and Super Helldive were a complete surprise, considering I had never even dropped solo before into either of them. Even though I made it look easy in the video, it's not. I just had a great napalm barrage. I just got lucky with the alignment on Helldive and the lack of enemies on Super Helldive. It just made the whole mission way easier. And honestly, they're normally a lot harder with all the optional objectives you usually do throughout playing the game, which I was not doing during this run. But that's all for today. I'm going to go equip a much better loadout and continue to fight the good fight. See you next time.